All right, so set another objection aside, and we now have another one. This comes from Daniel Dennett. Daniel Dennett, scientific philosopher, he says this: the kindly God who lovingly fashioned each and every one of us and sprinkled the sky with shining stars for our delight, that God is like Santa Claus, a myth of childhood, not anything a sane, undiluted adult could literally believe in. I just love the kind of the personal shots these guys take, right? And so you believe in God? Okay, well, I don't know how. You're not sane, you're deluded for sure. But it's like believing in Santa Claus. And so oftentimes what happens is the unbeliever, the atheist, will kind of link our belief with some kind of known mythology. So you believe in God? Oh, that's like believing in the Easter Bunny. That's believing in Santa Claus. And so simply by offering a parallel, they want to dismiss belief. Now, I actually think that this parallel actually works against them. Now, let's think about this for a second, okay? Let's take Santa, all right? The real Santa, okay? We'll take the real Santa. Now, remember, what is Santa invoked for? Santa actually becomes a cause, doesn't he? Because you have a phenomena. Here's the phenomena. You wake up Christmas morning, and there are gifts underneath the tree. Right? And so that phenomena has to be explained. A little kid says, Mom, Dad, did you put these here? Mom, Dad say, no, it was Santa. And so Santa is invoked as a cause. Okay? Now, as a child gets older, all right, and whatever your views on, the ethics of Santa, I don't want to hear them, all right? No, but we have different. Maybe there's different views on that. But let's just go with the analogy here, okay? So let's say the kids have been believing that there's this mythical guy Santa who's put the presents under the tree, but they get old enough and they shed the belief. They realize, oh, that's not true. There's no jolly elf who's coming to my house on Christmas night putting presents under the tree. So what happens? They lose the explanation, right? They lose the cause. It's not Santa. There's no cause now, or at least they're not sure what the cause is. But notice, when you lose the causal explanation, do you lose the phenomena? Meaning, do you lose the gifts? No, the gifts are still there, right? The gifts are still there. So they're still gifts. So just because you got rid of Santa as a cause, you still have the phenomena of gifts showing up. And so now, look, children are smart enough to know this. They know that you don't go from, okay, Santa is the cause of these gifts, to then saying, okay, now I know there's no Santa, to then come to the conclusion that, okay, therefore the gifts must have popped into existence out of nothing from no one, right? Oh, these gifts spontaneously arose within, underneath the tree. No, what does the kid look for? They look for a sufficient cause. They're still looking for a cause for the phenomena. So the whole Santa analogy actually, I think, works against the atheist. Because here's what we're doing. We're looking into the natural world and we're seeing phenomena. We're seeing presence, so to speak, right? We see the natural world, we see design, we see complexity, we see order, we see fine-tuning, or we see all these things, and we want to know, where do those presents come from? And so even if you were to say, well, there is no God, you still need a causation, right? Unless you want to do, I think, the irrational thing and say that something comes from nothing. And that's exactly what atheists do. Right? So the atheist says, this is Quentin Smith, a very smart atheist philosopher. I believe he's at Western Michigan University. He says the most reasonable belief is that we came from nothing, by nothing, and for nothing. That's his view. I'm quoting him. I'm not putting up a straw man here. That's what he says. Daniel Dennett himself. Listen to what Daniel Dennett says. He says, what does need its origin explained is the concrete universe itself. Now, we would agree with him, right? The origin of the universe needs an explanation. We need a sufficient cause. So what does he propose as the sufficient cause? It, the universe, does perform a version of the ultimate bootstrapping trick. It creates itself ex nihilo, or at any rate, out of something that is well nigh indistinguishable from nothing at all. So here's Daniel Dennett's solution. Okay, we have this phenomena. We've already ruled out God. There is no God. He's like Santa Claus. And so what's his cause? The universe creates itself out of nothing. Now, look. Okay, I don't want to mock Dennett, because I think he's a smart guy, but he is the PhD. He's the PhD, but notice what he's saying here. The universe creates itself ex nihilo, out of nothing. And it doesn't matter if you have a PhD or if you don't even have your high school diploma. If you say that the universe creates itself out of nothing, you have uttered something that is completely irrational. Okay? And a simple question exposes this, right? So here's the question. Before the universe came into existence, did it exist? It's not a trick question. The answer is no. So the thing that didn't exist brought itself into existence. That is the height of irrationality. That is a completely irrational view, that nothing gave rise to everything. Here's the equation. No one plus nothing equals everything. Okay? So the question then becomes, what is the evidence for such a view? In fact, you don't have to give me the evidence, because I think the view itself is irrational. Something or nothing cannot give rise to something, because nothing, if you want a definition of nothing, here's a definition of nothing. Nothing is what rocks dream about. Okay? Nothing means no thing at all. If there's no thing at all is nothing, and nothing has any causal powers. Nothing can't cause anything because it's nothing. And I think Dennett understands this. That's why he cheats. Did you hear him cheating in the definition there? Let's go back to his definition. He says, right, the universe creates itself ex nihilo, out of nothing, or at any rate out of something that is well nigh indistinguishable from nothing at all. Okay, so, well, maybe it's not nothing, it's something, but it's indistinguishable from nothing. Do you see the problem? Well, is it something or is it nothing? Because nothing is not something and something is not nothing. And if you want to define nothing as something, then you've changed the terms. And now you've engaged in another logical fallacy called equivocation, where you're now using a term with different definitions. And now you're saying nothing is actually something. And so then let's get rid of the word nothing and just say, well, there was something that gave rise to something else. That's actually more rational. And the question is, well, what was that something that can get, what kind of something would give us something else, like the universe, you see? And so we aren't the irrational ones here. I think the scientist or the philosopher or the atheist who claims that we can get something from nothing is the one that is irrational, okay? And so, and the whole Santa Claus analogy is simply works in our favor. You have phenomena, you look in the world, and you need an explanation for that. Just like you see presents, you need an explanation for it. And if you get rid of God, you can't just say, well, everything popped into existence out of nothing. Just like if you get rid of Santa, the presents will just pop into existence out of nothing. You still need a sufficient cause. And so we would argue the best explanation for the universe and all that we see is a personal cause to the beginning of the universe, right? And that's the Kalam argument that we've discussed, okay? And so notice we still have causation there, right? Okay, let's move on here. Here's the next one.